even my girls in their 30s, you know, we're really just trying to figure it out because there are things that are changing and shifting. I'm having women who are starting families, getting pregnant, going through infertility issues, um, all of these things. So right now, I think their focus is health.
Welcome to Slay, the podcast where we dive into all aspects of female health, fitness, and life. I'm your host, Louise Hazel, and in today's episode, we'll explore the unique needs of women when it comes to health and fitness strategies for building sustainable habits and how to embrace strength both inside and out. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce an incredible guest who's making waves in the world of fitness. She's a personal trainer, strength coach, and the co-owner of Brickhouse Gym in Atlanta. She specializes in helping women to harness the power of movement to feel stronger, more confident, and unstoppable. With years of experience and a passion for women's wellness, she's on a mission to break down the myths about strength training and support women through every stage of their lives and show that fitness is about so much more than just aesthetics. It's about health, self-love, and longevity. So whether you're a fitness newbie or a seasoned enthusiast, her expertise and insights will inspire you to take your wellness journey to the next level. So get ready to make notes and be empowered. Let's welcome Danielle DiCaterino to the show. Danielle, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm really good. It's so good to see you. I feel like it's been ages since we've
It
caught up.
has. It
So,
has.
how's everything down in Atlanta?
It's gloomy and rainy today, but other than that, it's
Perfect. So,
it's
sound
great.
sounds just like London. Um, so, Danielle, I want to give people a little brief background as to how we came to know each other. And then I want to talk about your, I say recent venture. It's been a couple of years now. You've had Brick House in Atlanta. But Danielle and I connected. I had actually clients that were venturing down to Atlanta for a whole year for personal training. And I was really looking for a safe pair of hands and someone that I could kind of offload them to on a daily basis. And I remember scouring through the internet, through Instagram, and looking up a ton of trainers in Atlanta. And I remember finding somebody's video, and she was amazing, great technique. And I noticed there was somebody in the background speaking, and that person was you. And you were coaching another trainer. And I was like, okay, I don't want the trainer that's performing, I want the person who's doing the coaching. And that's how I came across you. And I reached out, and you looked after two of our favorite clients for a whole year, kept them in amazing shape. And just loved your spirit, your personality. You're just so lovely and so welcoming. And so I wasn't surprised when you told me that you were going to go into gym ownership, because when we met, you were working at another facility. But what sparked that whole, interest in being like, you know what, I'm going to move away from training at a gym and I want my own gym?
Um, that's a great question. I think there are many reasons why I went into gym ownership. I've been in the fitness industry for about 12 years now. And before opening Brick House, I worked in maybe five or six different gyms. So I got to really see it all. And one of the things that I noticed was that the industry, especially in gym ownership, is very male dominated. So
Absolutely.
as a woman who takes her craft really seriously, and also wants to create the best experience for my clientele, um, I just really wanted to be able to create that space myself because I wasn't seeing it in Atlanta. I don't know if it's the same way in other cities, but um, in Atlanta, that just wasn't given to us or
What
provided for us.
what was the culture like in the gyms that you'd previously worked at, and how did you change that in your own space?
It's very competitive here. I think in almost every single gym that I worked at, it almost felt like we couldn't learn from each other. Like um, that just wasn't condoned. It was like, you got to do things the way I want you to do it. And if you don't, you can't work at my gym. That was
Hmm.
the overall experience
Hmm.
at many of the gyms that I worked at. In other gyms, it was where women were feeling disrespected.
Hmm.
Um, uh, degraded in certain situations. And even myself personally, my clients went through that, but I went through that as well, dealing with some men in the gym atmosphere.
Mm.
So within Brickhouse, I've just created a culture of being able to learn from each other, being able to communicate. I've hired 12 coaches that work at Brickhouse who have their own specialties and know so much because they really invest in their craft. They do their continuing education. They're conversing with each other. They're learning from each other. So just that culture in itself has helped me grow as an individual and as a coach. But I'm seeing all these coaches grow in their craft as well.
That's amazing, Dee. I love that.
Thank
Are you
you.
surprised that so many women feel intimidated by the gym? I was having a conversation this week and reading some reviews about people that are using fitness apps. And the one thing that just kept coming up every single time was female users feel really intimidated stepping into the gym. Are you surprised to hear that even now, you know?
Um, I'm not surprised, no, because I started off that way as well. Um, when I got into the fitness industry, I will say, and it's probably because I am in my own bubble now, but I
Hmm.
will say I think it's gotten a lot better in this
Yep.
industry. Um, but no, I'm not shocked by that. I think that that still lives within the industry, and we're just kind of plucking it out, as more people step up and create places with values and
Mm,
boundaries for
mm.
people. Um, so no, I'm not shocked. It is unfortunate, but that is why I created Brick House so so women could feel more comfortable to come into spaces where there still are men. By the way, Brick House
Hmm.
isn't just for women.
Absolutely. And you know, the interesting thing you say there, I was thinking about, the gyms that are typically like, super masculine. There's an air of toxic masculinity, but toxic masculinity, I don't think um, is just a word to describe men. It can also involve women in a culture that kind of uphold that same kind of those same values, like you were saying. So I think it's really important to highlight that actually toxic masculinity in a gym setting is really just not, it's not, it doesn't mean that all of the men in there are carrying big egos and big energy. Sometimes
Not at
it can
all.
cross gender, can't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen it in both genders, and I guess more than anything, I'm a woman, so I want to protect my women. But more
Hmm.
than anything, I just want the professionals within this industry to feel comfortable
Mm,
in just doing something that they really enjoy doing, which is strength training
yeah.
and
Now
being healthy.
let's talk about strength training. How did you get into it? How did you become a personal trainer, strength coach? What was your kind of entry point?
So my entry into fitness was through the bikini bodybuilding world.
Yeah.
Um, this was in, oh gosh, I don't even remember the year, but I was like fresh out of college, and I remember one of my dance teammates, she did a bikini bodybuilding competition, and I was like, I can do that.
Hmm.
So I tried it. I was also on the hunt for the perfect body at that time as well. So
What
I
did that
wasn't
mean to you? What was the perfect body?
the 18% body fat percentage, looking
Uh-huh.
really lean,
Hmm.
and just looking like someone that could step on a stage and like and pose
Hmm.
basically. Um, I really liked the muscular look and I liked the curvy look. So that was something I was chasing at the time.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it for the 2 or 3 shows that I did, but I quickly realized that I was doing a disservice to my body. I was
Mm,
pushing my body to extremes
mm,
with the restrictive diets, the endless amounts of cardio, the no social life. Just it was very restrictive, and to a
hmm.
certain extent, I just felt like I was doing myself a disservice. But that is how I got into it, and I shifted into really, really loving and enjoying the science of why the body does what it does. I'm
Mm,
like, wow, I really just turned my body into this machine.
yeah.
How did it do that?
Absolutely. The interesting thing I think is when it comes to the world of personal training, it can be, personal training qualification, I find, is a very general qualification. It doesn't go into a lot of depth. And so I find those trainers that are often the most skillful are the ones that have experience. So either a high
Hmm.
level of competitive background, in athletics, i.e., any sport, or those people that have put themselves in a bikini body or bodybuilding environment because they know exactly what it takes to create aesthetics. Now, for your clients, the majority of people that walk through the door, would you say their goals are more aesthetic goals or are they health goals for the average person?
The average person is
Hmm.
health goals.
Yeah.
Now, I have a wide range of ages that I work with, so it's between like late 20s and mid
Hmm.
60s. So
Hmm.
I have all types of walks of life,
Yeah.
through the womanhood.
Hmm.
Um, so, it depends on the age. I do have
Hmm.
clients who are more focused on how they look,
Yep.
and I can cater to that. I have no issue with that, but
Do
I
you,
do like to educate them at that early age.
Do you
Um,
feel that which demographic focuses more on aesthetics than health? Would you say it's the younger clientele, the older clientele, or a mixture of both?
Uh, I would have to say it's the younger clientele. It's that like 25 to mid 30 range, but
Uh-huh.
even my girls in their 30s, you know, we're really just trying to figure it out because there are things that are changing and shifting. I'm having women who are starting families, getting pregnant, going through
Hmm.
infertility issues,
Hmm.
um, all of these things. So right now, I think their focus is health.
Hmm. Got
So
you.
I would say the younger range is more focused on the physical.
Now, what would you say on a day-to-day basis are the common misconceptions that you're finding your clients down in Atlanta have about female strength training? Do you feel like by the time they come to you, they're all ready to kind of like lift heavy weights and try something new? Or do you feel like you're still having to kind of battle against some of the myths that have been spread in society about why women shouldn't lift weights?
Um, I have to say I don't come across that myth too much
Hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
Uh,
What do you
about
mean
10
by
years
anymore? Yeah.
about 10 years ago when I got into this industry, it was, I was having a lot of, if it wasn't like house moms or women in their like late 40s, 50s, they still have that mindset of looking or lifting weights is going to make you look bulky.
Yeah.
That was more prominent about 5, 10 years ago, but now I love the clientele that I attract because they want to get stronger. They know the benefits of getting stronger, and yes, they know that they're going to look aesthetically better, but they're going to feel better too. And I'm seeing a lot more women come to me like, I want to learn my form. I want better technique. And it's probably because that's what I practice and preach, but
Hmm.
I don't see those myths too much more.
Mm.
The only thing I do see a little bit right now is the restrictive diet that is still very heavily
Yeah. Where do you think that's coming from? Where do you think it's all stemming from?
the internet.
Hmm.
Um,
TikTok, social media.
Social media, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of misinformation in general and things
Hmm.
that could be taken out of context. I always tell my clients, the simpler the better. Like, we need to just empty our brains of all of the things that you just read and saw on social media, and let's just go to the basics because the basics are always going to get you from point A to point B.
Yeah. So talk me through like the average conversation that you're having with one of your clients who has a pattern or a habit with restrictive eating.
Um,
What are they normally, if you tell them to like increase their calories, what's their normal reaction?
They're pretty shocked by that.
Hmm.
Um, Simply because, in their head, reducing their calories, eating less is going to help them lose weight. And
Hmm.
obviously, these women don't know the science behind, how nutrition actually works throughout the body. But I I try not to get too sciencey with them. I simply try to help them create better habits, like
Hmm.
daily habits, because
Hmm.
most women aren't even eating enough to sit on the couch for 3 or 4 hours,
Hmm.
So I think my first steps with them is having them just simply write down what they eat for like a week. I'm just like, just write down what you eat. You don't need to log it in the app, just write it down just so we can see where you are currently. And then we just make small little adjustments.
What are the
One,
adjustments that you feel that you're making the most commonly? If you're like you took 10 people, without a doubt, seven of them you have to make this same change.
they're not eating enough protein.
Hmm.
Without a doubt, that is the most common thing that I'm seeing in my female clients. They're under eating.
Hmm.
They're not getting enough protein. Um, they think that carbs are bad, so they're not eating carbs, or they're eating too much of something and not enough of the other. So it's
Hmm.
it's it's just kind of like finding the balance between the macros.
Mm. And we're talking about this a wide range of clientele here, 25 through to 65. How do you cater to each age range? Because obviously you mentioned, fertility issues, you mentioned pregnancy, you've got menopause happening in there as well. And
Yes.
so a woman's body from the course of, between 25 and 65 is doing a number of things. And, you have to deal with completely different people with probably very similar goals,
Hmm.
but their bodies are probably responding to training very differently and nutrition very differently. Talk to me as to how you would approach like a 25-year-old versus your 65-year-old.
Um, I mean, I think they all definitely have very similar goals. Um, as far as how I handle their like training sessions,
Hmm.
those don't really look any differently unless they have any like ailments. Obviously, there's like hormonal fluctuations that you have to
Hmm.
deal with uh, by each session. So I basically just I ask every single client, how are you feeling today? How's your body feeling today? What is this? I want to know what this session is going to look like for them.
Hmm.
If their energy levels are really high, their body's feeling good, then we continue on with our normal strength program. Um, if I'm dealing with someone that has fibroids, which has been a very common thing
Mm.
over the last few years, they have a lot of pelvic floor pain, they have low back pain, there's
Mm.
bloating, there's low energy levels. So I might shift that session a little bit more to where I focus on mobility or breath work or deep core work, something like
Mhm.
that. So it really just depends on how that client feels that day, and how I structure the session.
How important do you think that flexibility is to women in particular in terms of like their ability to kind of keep coming back and stick with a program?
The most important. I mean, I think that is probably the key to being a better coach for women, especially, is helping them feel empowered and um, just simply letting them know that I can cater to your specific needs.
Mm.
Um, and then, most importantly, the biggest message to these women is that strength training can help alleviate most, if not all, of these symptoms from these conditions.
Mm.
Um,
Absolutely.
so it's super important, to be flexible.
Mm. Now let's talk about strength training in a little bit more depth. We talked about, some a little bit the misconceptions, the idea that lifting weights is going to make you bulky. But what do you think about the different types of strength training, because I think everybody just thinks that strength training is just one thing. Um, but in your experience, talk to me about the variability, person to person, what you've experienced with strength training yourself, and what are the types of strength training that you like and that your clients really like.
I've kind of gone through all types of strength training. I started in the bodybuilding world,
Hmm.
so that's the high rep, the heavy weights, going to failure every single session. Um, and I did enjoy that for its purpose, and I still use that method within my training programs. And then I like just good old strength and conditioning programming as well. I like functional training. I kind of dabble in it all.
Hmm.
Um, but I will say I personally just love the basics of strength training and then progression. So,
Mm.
um, very, very big on strength progression and just being able to see my clients perform just a simple movement, a simple push, pull, deadlift, squat, hinge movement, and continue to get better at that movement
Hmm.
every single week, every single month. That is the best way to keep my client engaged is to continue or allowing them to see themselves get stronger at one particular move and something that they really enjoy,
Yeah.
something that they're naturally good at.
What do you say to those people at home who are listening and thinking about progression and like, well, that sounds really boring. Like, I want to be able to do, I want to mix it up. I want to keep it fun and I want to keep it fresh.
Um, what would I say to that person? I think I would just say that they have to try it because it sounds like either they haven't tried it, like true progression,
Yeah.
sticking to a specific plan for 6 weeks, however long, and really seeing the growth because that's
Hmm.
really where the growth happens.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
it is fun to add in these things here and there. I love functional training. I love mobility, and I add all of these types of training within progressive strength training.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay. It's okay to keep things fresh. Maybe
Hmm.
find something like your mobility training to
Hmm.
keep, fresh, to keep
Yeah.
changing weekly, or, something else within your workout that you can keep changing each week.
Why is it so important to keep the strength the same for like a 6 week block?
Um, just to see those strength goals. I mean, to give your body the chance to actually adapt to these movements, because 9 times out of 10, when you do start a strength training program, you're probably not even performing the exercises as well as you will be week 3, week 4, week 5.
Mm.
So just giving your body the chance to adapt.
And
Um,
what are the rewards from the adaptation that you've been able to
muscle growth,
witness? Come
muscle
on.
growth. And that's ultimately the goal, regardless of if you are looking for more aesthetic or more health. The more muscle, the more lean muscle mass you have on your body, the healthier you're going to be, the better
Mhm.
you're going to look, the happier you're going to be. So you got to give your body the chance to
Right
get there.
on, right on, Dee. Now, one of the in the Slay Gym, we have like different phases of what the girls are obsessed with. Um, and at the minute, it's boulder shoulders, sweater arms for like
Oh,
the
yes.
winter,
Yes.
and we've been starting some BBL allegations in the gym. We've been starting BBL allegations. We're actually a supportive community. We've said we'll start the rumor in here and we'll let it spread on the internet about each person, and we're just going to try and light that match.
Yes.
What are the exercises? What are the places where, from an aesthetic perspective, down in Atlanta, what are the girls saying? It's like, look, I came here specifically so you can give me X, Y, or Z.
Well, of course, a nice butt.
Yeah,
That's a given. Everybody
yeah.
in Atlanta wants a nice butt. And I personally have a nice butt, so
Yes.
I do attract women that want, a high sitting booty.
A
So
shelf.
that's a shelf, and then a back. The backs are
Oh,
in.
oh, go on.
The
Talk to
backs are
me.
in.
What are the
Yes,
girls saying?
they're wanting the hourglass shape. So they're
Right.
wanting the shoulders, the
Yep.
lats,
Yep.
um, the wings, so they
Yes.
say,
Yes.
and then a slim waist and,
Yeah.
a
So
nice
this is
booty. So,
a, a really interesting thing. I was listening to something on the internet, and someone was saying, "How do I get a snatched waist?" And the one of the things I'd never heard someone say is build up your lats, because your lats are what's going to make your waist appear more
look
thin
smaller.
skin. Yeah. And
Yes.
for those at home that don't know what the lats are, it's literally these muscles right back here. So you're basically creating this V shape where the body therefore kind of snatches in towards the waist, and then hopefully, unless you're an athlete like me, you get that nice kick out at the bottom end as well. Wicked.
But even if you do have that body shape,
Yeah,
it still gives
absolutely.
you the hourglass look.
It really does. I love that. Now, you girls don't play. I've seen how much weight you've been lifting in the gym. One of the things I
Oh,
love
yeah.
about Brickhouse, you automatically go on the, on your page and their page, and you'll see people working out, like working hard, lifting
Hmm.
heavy weights. But more importantly, lifting them confidently and lifting them in community, which is one of the things that I really, really love. Um, is community a big thing? Like, when your clients, when it comes to their motivation and their consistency, how do you kind of keep them going?
Um, well, I mean, like you said, community is definitely the biggest factor in keeping people showing up. Um, I do have some personal clients that I work one-on-one with,
Hmm.
but most of my day is filled with group training. So
Hmm.
it's small group. I have up to like 5 people within the
Hmm.
hour, and they show up for each other because of each other. It's like I can't miss this session because I know Lou is going to be there
Hmm.
waiting for me to cheer her on
Hmm.
and, lift this heavy weight with her. So, community is probably the biggest factor in keeping my clients consistent. Um, and then the second thing is I use an app that they all have access to
Hmm.
so that they can write down their um, weights every single week. So they are visually seeing the increase in their
Hmm.
strength each week. And that's another thing that keeps them coming back as
I
well.
love that. How empowering. And then, Dee, I wanted to talk about, we talked about the internet and misinformation, but what's the biggest threat, do you think, at the moment to women's health right now? What's the biggest threat to their motivation and the biggest threat to that consistency that we just talked about?
This is a great question. I would say probably having to look a certain way,
Hmm.
especially with social media and, comparing yourself to other people. And there are, I think, people on social media that mean well,
Mm.
um, but are actually doing a disservice to their community and the people that follow them
Hmm.
because they're preaching this message of it's this way or no way,
Mm.
or
Give me an
this is how
example.
um you know one of the things that I see all the time on social media is the ass to grass squat.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I think there is, I think it's just limiting.
Hmm.
I have a lot of clients who come to me with lots of mobility restrictions and feel so
Mm.
unencouraged to even do a squat. They feel
Yeah.
like they shouldn't even work out because they can't even move the way this one person moves on Instagram or on
Hmm.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Um, so, I think a lot of people on social media just saying it's this way or no way. You should look this way or no way when performing this, or even just your body should look this way or no way.
Mm.
Um, So I think that's probably the most harmful thing that I'm seeing within the people that come to me
Yeah,
looking for guidance.
sounds like they're coming with these kind of expectations, but not a ton of knowledge, and so you're kind of having to be the person to fulfill that knowledge. Just
Yeah.
FYI, I've never done an arse to grass squat in my life, not with a barbell on my back. Never had
I
to.
mean, it's like I can,
Yeah,
but when I do barbell deep back squats, it doesn't. First of all, my form isn't the best. I have long femurs. I'm
yeah,
tall. I
yeah.
lean. Like it
Hmm.
puts my knees in an uncomfortable situation. And that doesn't mean I can't do it, but it's probably not the best variation for me.
Yeah, now let's talk about why, because, as trainers and as experts, we're talking about function. So the majority of people, are not stepping on stage next week at a bikini body competition. They're training for longevity. They're
Yeah.
training for, to feel better. They're training to build muscle mass, to perhaps reduce fat mass. Now, in what world would you have to carry something in an arse to grass position off the floor? Like, I think a better and much more functional exercise is teaching people how to deadlift. When you think about how we pick things up every single day off of the
Yes.
floor, and so, yeah, arse to grass is a really interesting one. I used to get a lot of shit on social media for my squat technique, because I would literally do a quarter squat with maybe 300 pounds as fast as I can. I had to kind of keep telling people my event was the long jump, my event was the high jump, and my level of knee flexion is probably like this. I place my
Yeah.
foot on the ground and I push as fast as I can. That is the long jump, that's the high jump.
Yeah.
So there's this level of specificity that um, we're not connecting the dots in the same. The question is, why the fuck am I doing this exercise? I
Yes.
think
What
if
is the
you're
goal?
correct, if you're a person who's just starting at the gym and you have a trainer but you're not quite sure, think be okay to ask. My
Hmm.
clients ask me all the time, what is this working? Especially if they can't feel a muscle working. And what would you say to a person who's like, I don't feel it working, it's not doing anything?
um, Typically go into like the joint function
Mm-hmm.
of the exercise, or I'll tell them that just think we're working this range of motion. We want to get stronger in this range of motion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because you don't feel a specific muscle working doesn't mean it's not working. There are many muscles that are working right now cohesively,
Mm-hmm.
as well as your joints and
Mm.
tendons and all these other things. So I just try to break it down, give them the bigger picture of why we're doing this movement.
Now talking about
Because
big
I do get that question a
a
lot.
lot. Now talking about bigger picture, if I wanted to build a bigger booty, what are the top three exercises that you would make sure are in my training plan?
Ooh, RDL. It
Yep,
can be
Romanian deadlift.
barbell. It can be, yes, it can be dumbbell. As long as you are starting with a weight that you can do, get your technique together and progress the weight each week, you're going to see results with RDL. Split squats,
Yep.
split squats, or
Hmm.
any type of any type of split squat, Bulgarians, your traditional, your sprinter lunge, any of those. What would be my last? Hip thrust.
Hmm.
I do love a good hip thrust, in all variations.
Yep.
So bilateral, unilateral, um, loaded with more like strength reps. So in your
Hmm.
3 to 5 range, or lighten the weight and go for hypertrophy. Um, those three are the best, I would have to say.
Oh, we got fireworks.
I'm not,
I love the amount of thumbs up that are popping up.
I
It's
must
so
be really expressive with my hands or something. I'm
it's
like,
so I love it. It's so self-affirming.
I know.
It's wicked.
So
Um,
yeah, I would say those three.
Awesome. And I think there's a common misconception, years ago, and I think we're getting past that. Most people think that squats are going to build you a bigger booty. And that's not to say that they can't help with glute function, but definitely more of a quad exercise. People are still
Yeah.
really surprised when I'm like, we have to hinge. we have to deadlift, we have to put a stretch on the glutes, on the hamstrings in order for them to grow. And I think the
Yes.
other interesting thing is with the rise in popularity of Pilates, um, I think people mistake a burning sensation and low load, lots
Mm.
of repetition for muscular growth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, talk to me about that. When we talk about just because a muscle isn't burning doesn't mean it's not working. Like, how many times have you had to kind of, gently nudge your clients in the direction of more load as opposed to more repetitions with
All the
bands?
time.
Yeah.
Um, they're always, with most clients, I always get to that point
Mm.
of reminding them of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, we all face those unique challenges as women, and some days we come into our session not ready for that 1% increase
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
on that deadlift, So I do have to remind them of the goal, um, which is to get stronger and put on more muscle if that's something that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty often, I would say, that they give me the fight back for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I do have a lot of clients who come from Pilates background.
Mm-hmm.
So they are in constant search of that little burn in the glute,
Yeah.
or in the deep core. They're in constant search of that feeling. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just reiterating what strength training really is and what it means.
Mm-hmm. So just to reiterate for those at home, like just because an exercise isn't burning does not mean that it's not working. um, More importantly, like when you're chasing that burn in classes and modalities like Pilates, it's really what you're getting into is kind of like lactic acid. You're fatiguing the muscle. Doesn't mean that you're
Mm-hmm.
growing the muscle, because actually at that lower level of load, you're kind of like just flexing like this. And then imagine a big contraction like this. So you're having,
Mm-hmm.
when you use that big contraction, you're engaging way more muscle fibers. Way more muscle fibers means much more repair and bigger glutes or bigger muscles. And that's not to
Yes.
say humongous bulk, but you definitely need to kind of stimulate and load that muscle in order to get a training response. So if Pilates isn't doing it for you, head on down to Brickhouse. Danielle's got your back. Um,
Exactly.
let's talk about non-scale victories. This is something that I think is so, so important. As a trainer, what are the most satisfying moments that you see when it comes to coaching your clients?
Ooh, when they come in and say that their clothes are fitting differently, that probably is the best one. And then also, uh, being able to like pick things up
Mm-hmm.
better, move better, having better posture. I do work with a lot of people within that 50 to 60 range.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they just feel so much better in their like daily movements, just like picking their grandchildren up or bending over to pick something up off the floor, and then verbally expressing how much easier that is for them,
Mm-hmm.
or simply moving their hands overhead.
Mm.
Those are the most satisfying things for me, for sure.
One of my clients just became a grandma for the first time.
Oh,
And she was like, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for the baby. And she locked in. We had like a good 3 months of just like her pushing everything. And she's like, I'm pushing the stroller, I'm pushing this. And one of the
yes.
exercises that she really struggled with when we first started training together a few years ago now was plank taps. So, stable
Ah,
plank position, taking one arm off the floor,
oh,
tapping
shoulder
across
tap.
the body. Yes, shoulder taps, plank taps. And now she's able to do like 15 straight off the bat with real confidence. And we had this real breakthrough moment where we kind of like both looked at each other and we
Did
were
you
like,
see that?
yeah, it's like, girl's got shoulders now. She's stable. Like, you're
Boulder
going to be,
shoulders.
exactly. She's going to be crawling around with that infant in no time. It's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Those
so
are,
good. Um,
yeah.
and so, how do you help your clients set kind of realistic goals that aren't related to the scale or aesthetics? Talk to me about one that you've set recently.
Hmm. Um, I guess I would have to bring back in the them having the option to like write down the weight every single session.
Mm,
Um, that's probably been the most fulfilling for my clients, just being able to see that progress each week.
hmm
And not on the scale or not even nutrition wise. It's just
hmm
simply seeing them getting stronger. And then also, I always add in challenges each week. So
hmm
we'll do like a push up challenge or it's whatever exercise it is that week, we see if we can hit a few more reps than we did last week, kind of like the shoulder taps.
I love
So
that.
those are little things that help them stay motivated to get stronger.
I love that, Dee. And then talk to me about gym ownership again, one more time. We want advice for anyone who's interested in starting the gym. What are the things that you found challenging, more challenging than you expected? Um, and, you know, how important is it for women to start owning facilities?
Um, well, there are a lot of things that I didn't see coming, that's for sure. But
Name
uh,
three of them.
well, I would say in regard to the very beginning of
hmm
opening any business, the permits, the licensing, just
hmm
dealing with a city in
Yep.
general and getting things going
hmm
was probably the most difficult in the beginning, the most stressful.
hmm
Um, and then moving into gym ownership and creating that community, I would just say probably people managing, like
hmm
having those skills up front is probably very useful. I was very used to just dealing with myself.
Yeah.
I was a fitness coach for 10 years, and only had me to hold accountable.
hmm
So just being able to have those like people managing skills
hmm
before would have been helpful. But I've learned a lot along the way in that
hmm
area, and I've become such a great leader, and
Oh,
I'm very proud of myself for that. Um, what is one more? Putting in systems. So,
yes.
I think the first year for us was just trying to create and find systems that worked over and over and over again, something we
Gi-
could depend on.
Give me an example.
Just okay, so like our marketing team.
Yeah.
So finding people that we could depend on to run our marketing ads and
hmm
creating a system to funnel all of those leads into
hmm
and creating a system to reach out to all of those leads and continuing to stay on top of those leads
hmm
until they become a client, someone that
hmm
we're helping. So it's just little systems like that that you don't really think matter
hmm
until you're a year into your business and you're like, wait a minute, why aren't these numbers moving?
hmm Yeah.
Oh, I have to actually have something in place
hmm
to get the number from here to here. So
Absolutely.
those three would probably be the most challenging ones in our first 2 years.
hmm
But now we're in a good flow, so
Yay.
it was worth it.
Now, talking of flow, what's coming up next at Brickhouse? What have you got on the cards?
So let's see. This is I guess it's the end of our second year. So we're going into the new year, which is great. Every year in December, we have what's called December.
hmm
So we bring the community together, my business partner and I, and then a few of our head coaches. We program a 6 week long program
Yep.
where we work on our deadlift,
Love
everyone's
it.
favorite,
hmm
and it's a progressive overload program. So it's pretty much the same thing every single week with minor progressions. And we have one big like party at the end
Oh, I
where we
love that.
all test the deadlift together and see how much stronger we got. So really looking forward to that. And then we have some charity events coming up as well as we move into the holidays.
Amazing. You know what we should do? We should have a gym off. We should have like
Oh
a
my
head to
God,
head. We have
yes.
to. I think that would be awesome.
That would be a great idea.
Okay, I'm down. We'll have to
Okay.
arrange that.
Yeah,
Um,
I like this.
Wicked. D, we're going to finish with a little game. These are quick fire 10 questions. I'm
Okay.
going to give you two topics. You're going to pick the one that you prefer the most. And
Okay.
obviously, they're all fitness related. If you want to go into further detail, if you need to explain yourself, I will make you dig in deeper. But for the sake of speed, we'll whip through. Are you ready, Danielle? This is this or that. Number one, cardio or mobility?
Ooh, mobility all day.
Love it. Number two, dumbbells or kettlebells?
Kettlebells.
Ugh. Number three, squats or deadlifts?
Deadlift.
Come on. Number four, hot bath or cold plunge?
Hot bath.
Same. What are you putting in
Although,
what are you putting in your bath tea?
um, a little bath bomb, like a
Yeah.
little vanilla,
Oh.
lavender,
Oh.
maybe some bubbles if I'm feeling,
Oh.
you know.
Okay. Okay. Just keep it cozy. Number five, Bulgarian split squats. Is there anything worse? Or burpees?
Girl, Bulgarian split squat me. I'm not jumping.
Number six, Pilates or yoga?
Pilates. I don't do yoga.
Really nice. But you love mobility though. I
I
really
do.
want to
It's
take,
so different.
yeah, I really want to take an online. Do you want to do any online classes still?
No, but we could do
Oh,
one.
okay, we'll do one. We'll do one together.
Yeah, we could do one.
Protein bar or protein shake?
Protein bar. Unless it's a smoothie. Unless I can go home and make a really nice smoothie, I'll do that.
What's your go-to protein bar at the moment?
Oh gosh.
Because I
I
just
don't know
heard,
the name of it.
that's okay, it might come to you. I just heard about one that one of my clients, she's great for recommendations. She came in fact, she texted me yesterday, she screenshots me pictures. There's a protein bar out there called David. It's
Ooh,
28 grams of protein, I think around about 12 to 14 grams of carbohydrate. The macros on that thing are nuts. For
I
those
was just
people,
about to ask.
yeah, for those people who are kind of sick of the protein shake, you know what I mean, type of thing, she's been able to jump off of that protein shake train and jump onto a protein bar train and, you know, mix it up. You might one day be fine with a protein shake, but also, you know, protein bars so handy, great little, I
Yeah.
call it emergency protein snack for your bag. David is the brand, and they look like they come in some really yummy flavors. And she's very particular when it comes to flavor. So anyway, this is
Okay.
supposed to be quick fire. Moving on to number eight. Let me know if you can remember your favorite. Running or walking?
Oh, walking.
For real. Cooking in or ordering out?
Depends on my mood.
Mm-hmm.
Ordering out.
Ordering out. Good for you.
Hmm.
I've cooked twice this week. I've
Oh,
made
good
a
for
chicken pie
you.
from scratch.
Oh, wow.
I
I'm coming
know.
over.
Honestly, come. But it's the first time I've cooked in 5 years, just to let you know. Number 10, counting calories or counting macros.
County macros.
Pow.
Yes.
Danielle, that was amazing. Thank you so much for joining us on the
Of
Slay
course.
podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You were an absolute
It is my
doll.
bedtime.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, it's late there. I just want to say, like, Danielle, you're an amazing coach. For anybody listening who's out in Atlanta looking for a coach, looking for those gains, looking to get stronger, looking to future proof their body, but also looking for an amazing community of like loving and caring people, check out Danielle. And check out Brickhouse. Like, I cannot recommend you guys enough. I love what you're doing. You have major friends over here at Slay in California. So I can't wait for you to come and visit, Danielle, quite
I
frankly.
know. Thank you so much, Lou. I know. I it's really on my 2025 goals to come see Slay.
Oh, I cannot wait. Dee, thank you so much for joining us. You
Thank
get
you
to
for
bed.
having me.
Go and get your
Okay.
bath bomb, darling.
All
Love
right.
it.
Thank you, Lou.
That concludes this episode of Slay. Stay tuned for more empowering discussions on female health, fitness, and life. You can follow me at Louise Hazel on social media, and you can follow Danielle at DiCaterino now. You can also check out the Slay brand at Slay Athletic Club, and don't forget to subscribe to the Slay podcast if you haven't done so already on YouTube, and leave us a comment. You can also get fit at home using the Slay app. You can download that now for free from the App Store to join our online community.